Welcome. What is up? Welcome to the Mixer. I am your host, RC. I am not joined by my co-host, Jeff. Jeff had a last-minute call come up. So, anywho, you got me today. First things first, thank you for listening. Do not forget to take our survey. It is in the show notes. If you're listening, even if you're, a close friend, fill it out. Fill it out. Give us our feedback. It's like anonymous, so yeah, just let us know what we can improve. Want to work on making this show better heading into next year and growing this thing. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following on our social channels. It's at FG Wine Mixer pretty much anywhere. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, slide into those DMs. Yeah. Thank you. First things first, we always start out with tilts, and what I am tilting now, aside from my losses last week, that we will talk about, is the market. Hot in the streets, Wall Street bets, a bunch of investing bros banded together, pumped up GameStop to own the short sellers, and it worked. It worked really well. So well, there's chaos and apps like Robinhood and Ameritrader blocking the same moves on other stocks. And yeah, it's called a lot into question. A lot of people are upset on the internet. I definitely jumped in, maybe, I guess on the early half, but not enough to really get anything significant out of it. And yeah, so anyway, just kind of riding that wave, and I think it's bringing up a lot of important discussions. Maybe we'll get some market regulation off of it. It's just the thing that is most upsetting, and why I'm wearing my Rage Against the Machine shirt this morning, is the whole system seems rigged, and it's claimed to be a free market, and you're able to do stuff like short sell on businesses where you benefit from people losing their jobs, essentially, or companies that have been around for a while going out of business. I mean, GameStop, not the most altruistic company, especially the way they treat like game rentals and stuff, own games and that. However, it's just, it just feels dirty. I saw recently that there's some sort of fund that works against the price of water to cities, so you can invest. It's really a bet on the water situation being a problem. And it's just never sat well with me. So anywho, that is I was just wrapping up the thoughts on the thanks for joining, Jeff. Jeff is now back in. I was just wrapping up thoughts on the investing thing. So
Nice.
yeah, still on those tilts. But other than that, my other tilt this week is my water heater went out due to the wind and the weather that we've been having, and so that was lovely. Another episode of Rob versus renting, but we're back up and running, and yeah, yet another issue. Oh, and by the way, I did file a small claims lawsuit against my my property here for the damage they caused in my garage that you guys may or may not have heard of before. And so I called the courthouse, and I'm like, what do I do next? Because they said a paper that just said, call this number. And I called them, and they're like, well, we have to get you a court date, but we're booking court dates through the claims that we received in May. So
Oh God.
it's going to be a while. I was like, oh. I was like, all right, okay, I guess I'll wait for the mail. So
That's rough.
yeah, long holding pattern on that. But let's get into it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. First and foremost, the NFL conference championship week. We now know who our Super Bowl teams are. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and 43-year-old Tom Brady are moving on. They won 31-26 against the Packers, and the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the Buffalo Bills 38-24. Let's start with the NFC side. The Bucs jumped out to an early lead, and I mean we're pretty much able to hold it throughout. The Packers really had a disappointing first half. They were the better team in the second half, but yeah, I mean Brady was just able to get it done despite throwing 3 picks, I believe, all of which were in the second half, while Green Bay was coming back. Jeff, what are your thoughts on this game? Your initial thoughts on this game and how it played out.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun game to watch. It was, a little disappointing. My wife's a Packer fan, right? So I wanted the Packers to win. Also, like, I was Team Jameis, right? I think it's a little misleading with all these people talking about how Brady's, the reason this Tampa Bay team is so good when their offense is arguably worse than it was last year. Their defense is significantly better. I think the big change Brady's done is he doesn't, Sunday was a little bit different, but he doesn't commit the turnovers Jameis does, right? Or Jameis did. So, also disappointed there, Rob.
Yeah, we're having a little bit of connection issues today, but yeah, continue your thoughts on the game. We're back on.
You there?
All right. Looks like we lost Jeff briefly. This is just one of those shows, it would seem. Anywho, I'll continue on. Maybe Jeff can join back in when his connection gets better. So yeah, I mean the big story here is Brady moving on to his 10th Super Bowl and now having as many Super Bowl appearances as ARodg, who that might be a lie. Maybe ARodg has been to 2 and only won 1. Either way, I mean it's remarkable what Brady's been able to do despite his poor play in the second half. And I mean, he only put up 280 yards for 3 touchdowns. I mean, the story mainly of how this battle was won is the Packers' struggles once they got inside the red zone. I mean, even inside the 10, they had a few drives where they settled for field goals and maybe even turned it on downs on one of them. They just kept targeting Davante Adams over and over and over again. There was one series where they went to him 3 straight times, and that had been working all season. But I mean, they got it. They got one touchdown to him inside the 5 or 10, but the other times it just didn't work out. And then we had the Packers, at the 7-yard line, 4th and 7, I believe, down 8. They opt to kick the field goal, trying to get the ball back, and they never touched the ball again, and the Packers, or excuse me, the Buccaneers go on to win. So a lot of people online second guessing that decision to kick the field goal there. Supposedly the sharp play was actually the number said if you kick the field goal you have more of a chance, but I get the argument that you should have went for it. But really they had their chances earlier in the game and they just couldn't get it in. I think the more glaring issue with how the game was called was, you have probably the most prolific red zone offense for the whole season, and they just kept going to the easy button. It's like, all right, we'll try to isolate Davante Adams and we'll try to get him the ball. And I mean, that had been working, but it may be a little more creativity. They had another drive into the red zone, and Tanyan was able to get an easy touchdown. He wasn't even the first read. I believe Davante Adams was running a crossing pattern over the middle at like the 2-yard line, and Rodgers took a look at him. He wasn't open, spotted Tanyan and got it to him. So, it just seemed a little sloppy, a little lazy, and it didn't work out. I had heavy futures on the Packers, and a lot of my bets this weekend were on the Packers too, and it just it didn't work out. I didn't see any way that the Bucs were going to be able to pull it off, but that's what I get for doubting Tom Brady. He moves on. Unquestionably, we're not just talking the best player in all of football. He's made it to 10 Super Bowls. He's now been in like 18% of all Super Bowls ever played. He has as many conference titles as Drew Brees and ARodg, has 2 times as many playoff wins as the next closest quarterback all time. If you were to bet Brady every single season to make the Super Bowl, you'd be up 41-1. So, I mean, the man's a machine. The question is this going to be his last run? I mean, it certainly doesn't seem like it. New team, doesn't matter. Tom Brady's in the Super Bowl yet again, and we're all here to bear witness. It's really remarkable when we look back on how dominant Brady has been. I'm sure we'll have a different perspective and realize just how special he was. I've never been a huge Brady fan, but I've always respected him. So hats off to his continued excellence. And I don't really know what the source of it is. I put a lot of time thinking about it, trying to get my thoughts together and maybe share that. Because he's not, he doesn't seem like a special athlete. He's not like Mahomes, who can flick his wrist and throw the ball 70 yards and also scramble. But I think where Brady stands out is he's such a competitor. He definitely has the athletic prowess to get the job done. And I think he's just an alpha. I know always make like alpha beta jokes and high T low T type things, but I think he's just able to effectively lead a team. I don't know exactly how he does it. I think I can't wait to hear the stories from years from now from teammates. I think a lot of it probably was attributed to Belichick, who definitely helped out. But Brady is able to get his guys to do what he wants to do and to extract the best out of them. There's a reason why Gronkowski came back to play for the Bucs, beat up and weathered and battle wounded as much as he is. And then the same thing with Antonio Brown coming back to play with Brady. There's a reason why, and I think it's the same reason why he's made it to 10 Super Bowls is just because he's he was able to make a guy like Wes Welker one of the best receivers in football. Same thing with Julian Edelman. You could just go down the list. James White was super relevant, and not all of these guys are special talents, but for whatever reason, Brady is able to get the most out of them. And it was Brady and Belichick together. But the fact that he's able to do it again with a different team, just more evidence that Brady is definitely carrying his weight in that partnership. So congrats to any Bucs fans out there. Congrats to the team and to Tom Brady making another Super Bowl. I'm not happy about it, but credit where it's due. Moving on, we had the Chiefs take care of the much beloved Buffalo Bills, who could not circle their wagons like many had hoped. There was a question on Mahomes' health going into this game, dealing with the toe and a head injury or a choke out injury, which seems to still be in question. Never really got a straight answer on that, but Mahomes was able to go over 300 yards, passing 3 touchdowns, 29 to 38. He was just lethal. Didn't run much. He only got 5 yards on the ground. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were able to do pretty much whatever they wanted. Kelce got 2 touchdowns, 118 yards on 13 receptions. Tyreek Hill got 9 receptions for 172 yards. McCole Hardman had a long run on one of those option plays, their jet sweeps. And yeah, the Chiefs were able to do pretty much what they wanted. I heard a stat on, I believe it was the Roto World podcast, where the Chiefs have had like 13 drives in the playoffs or 15 or something like that, and only 2 of them have not ended up in scores, and they were both like kneel downs. So, they're just able to have their way right now. The Bills, they were just outclassed. They didn't have enough. I thought the play calling seemed a little vanilla, so I don't know if Dable was distracted by the head coaching interviews that he was getting, or in consideration for. I don't suppose he can interview while he was still, while the Bills season was still going on, a rule that should be changed. But somewhat disappointing by Josh Allen, only 28 to 48. He got 2 touchdowns and a pick. He did get 88 yards on the ground, which is impressive. Diggs kept under 100 yards. So my one saving grace of my bets this weekend was the Dawson Knox first touchdown. And so that made it not such a bad week. I still finished down, but yeah, that kind of helped. So thank you to Dawson Knox, but congrats to the Chiefs. Congrats to Andy Reid. The Kool-Aid man moves on. It is I guess this was their 3rd straight AFC Championship game, making it their 2nd straight Super Bowl. Looking to be the first team to go back-to-back since I think the Patriots in 2003, 2004. Do not fact-check me on that, but I know it's the first time in a while since a team just hasn't gone back-to-back. The Chiefs have not gone back-to-back yet, but they have a chance to, and it's been a while since a team has done that. So, the other thing about this game was it was quite chippy. The Chiefs and the Bills, this is pretty much over pretty early on. The Chiefs had, 21-12 at half. And then it would have been 31-15 at one point. So yeah, it just, I don't know exactly. There was an instance where some guy kind of took a late hit on Josh Allen, and he threw the ball at him, and then one of Josh Allen's offensive line came and cleared him up. They're offsetting penalties, and yeah. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see if these 2 teams end up meeting in the playoffs on a regular basis with 2 young quarterbacks. There may be. There may be some bad blood there. So we'll have that storyline going into it. We're going to move on. So that brings our matchup, our Super Bowl matchup, to the Chiefs and the Buccaneers. It is Mahomes versus Brady, the old guard versus the new. So all the storylines are there for this to be a wonderful build-up to the game. So I'm excited. The lines. Oh, the lines open with KC -3. It is the first home Super Bowl. With Tampa Bay being the host. However, there will be a limited number of fans due to the coronavirus. I don't know the specific details, but I do know a portion of the fans there in attendance will be nurses and doctors from the area that have been vaccinated. So, I think that's pretty awesome that they do that for the community. I mean, I wish it was just all the frontline workers and maybe ones from the heavy impacted areas like New York and stuff. However, they still have a very important job to do, so it's not like we can just bring them all in. But the NFL is looking for good pub by doing this. They're still going to have the millionaires and billionaires that blocked Robinhood trade shares for today. So, I mean, shouts to NFL and their marketing team for, looking like they're doing something good here. The over under opened at 56. I mean, we'll get into it more. I hate to doubt Tom Brady, but the Chiefs just seem like a machine. They wrecked Tampa Bay the first time they played them. That was the game where Tyreek Hill looked like he was going to go for 500 yards. So I don't expect that to happen again, obviously. But there were two safeties in Tampa Bay that got hurt in the conference championship. So they're not going to be 100%. And Mahomes is awesome. That is my brief prediction. I think the Chiefs take care of business, and I think they do so quite easily. The next subject I wanted to touch on, somewhat on a somber note, I guess is bittersweet. The bolo tie himself, Mr. Philly R. He's retiring. He's hanging up the bolo tie. Philip Rivers announced his retirement on the same day as the inauguration, I believe. So, way to go out and maybe not be a huge headline. So it was after 17 seasons in the league. So Philip Rivers, a hell of a career. All the capital J's now want to talk about if Rivers is a Hall of Famer or not. And, obviously the biggest component of that is going to be the fact that he never won a Super Bowl, never had a statement win, never got to a Super Bowl. Valid. However, Rivers does have, like top 10 passing numbers all around, and most of them are like flirting with top 5. I don't have the numbers in front of me exactly, but he's something like 6 in completion, 6 in yards. Like he's kind of hovering around that 5, 6, 7 range in a lot of the major categories. Hell of a competitor, hell of a preparer, being able to read the field. A special guy. Obviously, he's, a dadgum good guy. Doesn't swear, everybody knows about. So I am sad that he's retiring, and I'm very grateful that he was the Chargers quarterback for so long. I actually was in attendance at his first game. It was the last Drew Brees season, I believe. Or I think it was the year they went to the playoffs and lost to the Jets. They had wrapped up and secured their playoff spot. So they sat Brees for most of the game. It was against the Chiefs, I believe. And I saw Philip Rivers' first touchdown pass. It was to Malcolm Floyd. I was a kid. I think I was 18 or 19. I bought my dad tickets and we went and watched the game. It was for Christmas. I was working at Vaughn's, a local grocery store. And, it's something I always remembered. And then his first season as a full-time starter, the 14-2 year, was special. It was special. It was probably the funnest year I've had watching football. got to meet got to make a lot of connections with my brother's friends, who many of my closest friends are now, I don't know that would have happened if it weren't for that season and gathering around to watch a team that was a machine that year, with LT breaking the rushing record, and Rivers maybe didn't throw as often that year. They didn't ask him to do too much, but it was something special just being able to watch the games with my dad and with my friends and my brother. So yeah, it was awesome. It led to a lot of other things in life, and I'm not sure, that I'd be on this mic, that I'd have the friends that I do, if it weren't for that season, if it weren't for Philip Rivers being a dadgum good quarterback. So, he may not be a Hall of Famer because he never won a Super Bowl, but he had a huge impact on my life, and I'm super grateful for him. And I wish him nothing but the best. Selfishly, I hope he ends up in a booth. They're already trying to dangle the Monday Night Football job over his head as a gateway to get into the NFL Hall of Fame. However, Philip, do you, man? You've earned it. You got a lot of kids to spend time with. Your goal was to be a high school football coach, and chase your dreams, man. Thank you, Philly. Love you. And sad that I won't be able to watch you on Sundays anymore. Okay. More football. Let's keep it going. So the coaching carousel is where the kind of off-season talk is going to begin, and we had a few head coaches landing in some spots. So let's just go through them. The Jets landed Robert Saleh. I think it's Saleh. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. I apologize. He was the 49ers defensive coordinator. Awesome story. He had a big wake up call on 9/11 of all days. I believe he had a close family member of some sort that worked in the building, and he wasn't able to get in touch with them, and had a breakdown. I may not be remembering this story completely correct, but anywho, that was his wake up call that he wasn't doing what he wanted in his life, and just realized from the tragedy of that day that life is short, life is precious, and quit whatever he was doing, and decided to try to make it out in football. And here he is. He's now a head coach of the New York Jets. Awesome hire. What he was able to do with the 49ers defense when it was healthy was something special. A lot of people really liked him. So I'm glad that he is going to be an NFL head coach. A huge upgrade from their previous coach. So yeah, any Jets fans out there, congrats. I think you got a good guy. He would have been my, I don't know, I guess it's probably, if I'm being honest, my second choice for Chargers head coach. So good to him. The Jaguars landed Urban Meyer, former Ohio State and Florida head coach, college, obviously. He's gonna have complete autonomy. Hopefully, I'm using that word right, over the decisions of that franchise. So it's gonna be interesting to see. They have the number 1 pick. Trevor Lawrence is in their sights. I do not see any other way that they go unless they trade for Deshaun Watson, which we'll talk about free agency here probably on the next show, or after the Super Bowl. But Urban Meyer, he comes with a lot of not baggage, but question marks, a lot of issues. He's the one guy that I definitely did not, out of the big names at least, that I definitely did not want the Chargers to land. Hearing about how his times went in Florida with Aaron Hernandez, and then hearing about some things that got swept under the rug at Ohio State, I just do not want any team that I root for to be associated with him. He has health issues as well, which, I mean, you can't really fault him for that. It seems like he gets really stressed out after losses. Obviously, taking over as head coach of the team that finished DFL last season, losses are going to be on the schedule, regardless of what you land with the number one pick. So he's going to have to overcome that. He's going to have to overcome his health issues, and he's going to have to overcome his reputation, because it is not in a highly respectable place at this point. So we're going to have to see how Urban Meyer pans out, but I'm not a believer, despite being an Ohio State fan. The Falcons landed Arthur Smith. He was the Titans' offensive coordinator. It's a fit. We'll have to see, we'll have to see if he brings in somebody else instead of Matt Ryan, who's getting kind of aged, kind of washed. The Titans had a very modern attack, except for their high T running game. We'll have to see how he adjusts, but I think that's a good hire as well. The Chargers landed Brandon Staley, the Rams' defensive coordinator. So the Chargers went with the defensive coordinator as their head coach the first time in a while. He's very forward-thinking. He had the number one defense this year in the Rams. Obviously, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey helping out. Hopefully he can do the same with Joey Bosa and Derwin James. Really likable guy. Listens to players. A lot of feedback from the players are that he will call him late at night, and then players will be not necessarily confused, but thinking like, okay, like, yeah, sure, coach. And then sure enough, it ends up being pertinent to the game the next day. So a young guy, I think he's 39. He brought in, a bunch of guys that he worked with before. He brought in Joe Lombardi, an offensive coordinator from the Saints. So really excited about this hire. He seems like to be from that new up and coming cloth, which is a sharp contrast from Anthony Lynn and wanting to establish the run, which it probably was a little overblown at some point, but we'll have to see. But I am excited. I'm excited for what he brings to the team, and I am optimistic about the future. So the Lions, Dan Campbell, who was the interim head coach, taking over now, had probably the highest T presser after being announced as a head coach, talking about biting kneecaps. Supposedly he's gonna look at being the modern type coach, not trying to get guys through the Oklahoma drill on the first day like Patricia did, Matt Patricia. I mean, that's another one where you just have to see how it pans out. He may not be head coaching material. So the Texans have interviewed everybody, but nobody's signed on, and I think that's because there's a question at the quarterback position. Deshaun Watson says he wants out no matter what. So whoever lands that job is going to inherit a team that just lost their franchise quarterback. So really, really tough to be a Texan fan right now. I mean, they got to hope that like Dable will maybe be willing to accept the Texans job, but them and the Eagles are still looking for coaches, and the list is growing shorter and shorter. I mean, Eric Bieniemy is still out there, but it doesn't sound like he's intrigued by going to either of these teams. So we'll have to see who the Eagles and the Texans end up getting. these guys might hold out because, looking at like some of the big teams, like, the Cowboys might have a position soon. The Steelers might have a position soon. Dare I say the Patriots might have an opening soon. The Seahawks might have an opening soon. So, lots of big teams in big markets that are tantalizing. So these guys like Dable, who a lot of people are having their crosshairs, they might be holding out for greener pastures. So we'll be covering that in the off season. Maybe I can do a prediction thing with Jeff then. Okay, that will wrap up our football talk, and by our I mean my football talk. The other big story over the weekend was Conor McGregor getting just dealt with. Got knocked out in the second round. It was appropriate. I had Conor winning in the third by knockout, and that didn't play out that way. So really bad betting weekend for me, but I've had some good weeks leading up to this, so still up on the year. Just a little things did not go my way. Hoping to make it back on Super Bowl weekend. But yeah, Conor looked good in the first round. He was landing those shoulder strikes. And it looked like he was about to finish Poirier at one point, but he survived, and Conor was probably getting the best of the first minute of the second round, and then Poirier landed some leg kicks that I guess caused some sort of hairline fracture. I haven't been able to confirm that, but I did hear that Conor's leg was significantly injured after those kicks. And he caught him up against the cage and finished him nicely. Conor got memed, so thoughts and prayers to him. I'm sure he will be back in the cage soon. It sounded like he wanted to get a lot of fights in this year. He's entertaining to watch, so I do not think this marks the end of Conor McGregor, but he's got a hill to climb. And I guess this is where he really gets tested. He's been away from the sport for a while. So, a lot of champions, a lot of the best personalities in boxing have gone through phases like this. I should say combat sports. It's just a matter of if they're able to get back on top, and everybody likes that storyline. So, you could say I'm rooting for Conor. I've always found him entertaining despite becoming a character. So, hopefully we'll have some more entertainment out of Conor moving forward. That's gonna wrap it up for this week. We'll have our Super Bowl preview next week. No NFL this weekend. No Pro Bowl. Sad. Not. Yeah, I think my brain is broken from the year that is COVID in sports. After not having it for so many months, staying busy, launching this podcast, and then having the flurry of NBA finals in the bubble and baseball condensed season, Formula One races at odd locations, and then just the chaos of the NFL season with following the outbreaks and all that in sports. Now that we're only recapping basically 2 games, it's the calm, and I don't really know how to handle myself other than buy meme stocks and lose money. So hopefully something will step up soon. Maybe we'll get some more basketball talk. I did compose my first ranks for the 2021 season, so we are coming hard for next year. Thank you for listening. I definitely need some PF Changs this week because it was a rough one. So till next week, guys. Thank you. Toodaloo! That was weak. Toodaloo! There we go. Later.